Hi, hello. My name's Heather. I'm 26. I love to do DIY, anything art. I graduated architecture school a few years ago. I just got engaged, and we like to fuck around and find out here. I'll move over so you can see. We have a time here. What are we doing here today? You may ask, and you look at the timestamp, and it's ridiculously long. It's for a reason. This project took me over 3 months to finish, and over 80 hours of planning. It tried my patience, to say the least. Would I do it again? Yeah, I would. Hesitantly, I would. Because as much as it dragged on and it was a lot of math and a lot of figuring out, and I learned a lot in the process of learning. The length of the video does have to do with the fact that I try to explain a good amount of the process and the things that I ran into and all of the mistakes and fortunate things that also happened. I would like this project to illuminate for people that DIY doesn't have to be so intimidating. DIY doesn't have to be super complex, although this project definitely is, in my opinion, because I am not a pro. So, with all of that, let's look at my Pinterest and we're going to check out my inspo pics that led me to the design that I ended up going with. All right. Looking at my Pinterest board here for my DIY fireplace, as I'm calling it, I have a lot of inspiration for examples that had like this arched thing above the fireplace because that's similar to what my fireplace is, and how our house is more craftsman style. This is one of the pins that I found that was a key idea. Another thing that I really kept coming back to were things like these two on the left side here. And I really liked these because our house has a lot of like this crown molding type thing and this thing that protrudes. But in the end, I ended up going with something very similar to this. What I really enjoyed about this composition was these little knobs at the top. And what I also really liked about this design was I thought back on the whole craftsman thing and I was like, oh, these are kind of nice. Let's jump over to AutoCAD and I will show you what I ended up coming up with. This is what the living room wall looks like currently. Let's start with the ideas of concept for the fireplace. When I was thinking about doing it, I was actually thinking about covering the front of the fireplace in some sort of solid flat material, so that way I would get rid of the brick texture altogether and give it a more modern feel. I ended up not really liking the top options, and so I was more so focused on these bottom ones. One of the ideas that I had was to add more of these corbel things, which are like these things that go on the bottom of the fireplace. The other option was to cover them up with a column of some sort. I was leaning more towards something that was like this. Just pretend like I have the other brick stuff that's right above the fireplace there. This is the final design that I ended up coming up with. I have these columns, and then I have what I'm going to call column bases, and then there's just this top bit. This is what this looks like with all of my markups and everything that I thought of, so that way the project could be slightly less confusing when I'm actually doing it. I have my sections and I have this elevation bit here so that I can see just how far out that this piece is going to sit. We'll be covering up all of the top trim that I have right here on this line. So the front of the top plinth part is going to cover that, and it's also going to cover the bottom part of this corbel thing. I'm pretty sure corbel is like that decorative thing that people have on their porches. I would go more into the design bit, but the video is already long. What you saw though in the model is all of these letters and things on all the different pieces. This is what helped me create some sort of a like IKEA type thing. break all of these pieces out and make sure that I had every single piece that I needed. The red lines, like particularly this one right here, this is just marking where I was gonna cut the piece because the sheet of plywood wasn't gonna fit in Nathan's car as a whole sheet. Also, the other thing you see on this document here is these arrows. And if you're familiar with woodworking, what it does is it shows the grain direction, because I have to pay attention to the grain of the plywood. The other red lines that you see on this layout print here are where I'm going to have to miter, which means to cut the corners at a 45-degree angle so that I get nice clean corners. Coming at you from the bed while I edit, I forgot to film a transitionary piece for this, and so this is picking up after I broke down the wood a bit more, so it was more manageable to work with. So, don't do this at home, kids. It's only allowed in mine. Now that that's like that, you take deep breaths because it's fun. It just feels scary, but after it's done, you realize it just isn't that bad. Or at least that's what you tell yourself. And then you put on your safety glasses before you put on your hearing protection, because plugged in. This is so stupid. Forgot about that. Move this back a little further. I'm done procrastinating now. Next, I'm plugging this, because I'm not trying to die. Next, we're going to set the blade to 2.5. It's good. She's great. Let's cut some more of this shit up. Okay? Okay. So, this is going over here. It's time to 45. So now, instead of 2.5, it's going to be just 2 inches. Oh, Great. That went best case scenario. Hell yeah. I feel accomplished, but we do need to put this back at 90 so we can put the next one. I have a renewed confidence in this project because I was really concerned with how well I was going to be able to capture all of the specific angles I'm doing, because it's like a craftsman style thing, and those are typically just angles, and math isn't my strong suit. I'm done for today. I need to go make dinner, and I'll catch you on the flip side whenever I decide to do the project again. Hi, hello. We're back. I was gonna say day 2, but we're not really counting with this project. We have a few pieces to cut with the jigsaw that I got the other day. Let me show you the cut sheet I have here for the pieces that we're going to be using. So this cut right here, I think I might just cut that on the table saw. So dead ass. I will just nail those other 2 little bits and bobs on. I'm not trying to fuck around and find out like that. I fuck around and find out too many other different ways, you know what I mean? Let's get the table saw set up again, shall we? The only thing that I did while you weren't looking is this one. So you can see right along this edge, it's not even. And along the bottom and the top, which you can't really see, it is also not straight. I'm just gonna go with it. But today, the goal is we're gonna try to cut those pieces over there to length.
so that they fit on here. And then we're going to attempt to glue them onto this piece. So, like, the question is like, which piece is closer to being right? And then we're gonna connect these lines. Yeah, because once I do this on that piece, I think they'll match. I'm gonna take care of that, and I'll see you when we get to the part where we cut the pieces to the correct size. What we're gonna do now is cut our side pieces to length. Then all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna call this piece right, and this other piece that you can't see is left. Apparently this should be fine. It looks like this isn't going to be long enough for this, but these are going to be going like this. Drawing and doing, as I've learned through many a project, are two very different things. The line is not correct. It's backwards. Good thing we're measuring twice. I really wanted to film this and make this into like a whole shebang. I'm realizing how much harder things are when you actually have to do it. I feel like that's what keeps people from doing a lot of DIY projects and things, is because after I finished the drawings for this project, I really genuinely thought, like, that was hard enough as it was. It's gonna be doubly as hard to actually execute this anyway. I'm going to measure those pieces and get them laid out. Because I didn't account for the 1/2 inch or whatever it is on the back side here on both pieces, now I have to cut these. But it's not the end of the world because I have extra. I'm gonna glue these pieces down now, and then I'm going to cut these again. Let's do it. Next up, I just have to cut the top and bottom inserts. I found this website on Pinterest that really showed a good example of how to assemble a fireplace mantle thingy like this. And so I already went ahead and ripped down a bunch of sticks so I can cut the necessary amounts of these to then glue together after these clamps are free. Then we'll assemble the bases. We'll see how that goes. All right. It's a new dawn, it's a new day. Hey, hey. I had to cut these twice. Long story short, there's these gaps here that we're going to fill with sawdust and wood glue today. Also, I glued up the supports that are going to go at the top and the bottom of this, so I'll be able to attach these face plates. Once I get this done, then I'll be able to those on the sides here where I have it mitered. Then that will sit flush right here, but that's the plan. With that, I get my stash of sawdust. I'm going to mix up some wood glue. After I put the glue on these, I just sanded the extra bit off. There's one last thing I need to do before we really fuck it up with those clamps, and that is make sure that I cut these down to length. I am going to mark these and we will see how that goes. Another day, another dollar. Today I have to recut the bottom pedestal support things because I didn't design them correctly. So today I just have to cut them and reglue them. After that glue's dry, I'm gonna glue them into the supports of the column, and then ideally I'll also get all the pieces cut to size for the bottom piece. It'll be fun because we get to go downstairs for that bit and get to make sure that the side pieces are cut to the right depth so that this thing doesn't stick out from the wall too far. Ruins the illusion. Now I just have to, and then this piece is actually going to get glued on like this, that this stays inside the other thing. Little did I know that this whole project I would be pretty much assembling with wood glue. People sleep on wood glue. It's actually amazing. I'm gonna start gluing these now. Yeah. Sorry if you can hear the fan going. Cut these ones down thinner so that they would fit better. These are going on here like this for a better ledge for the whole situation to rest on. Just gonna. The sound effects are required. Without the sound effects, it doesn't work. Know that I really even need to clamp this. Lightly hold this on here. I'm just gonna do the same thing on the other one. With all those glued, now we just have to wait 1 hour. And then I bring the column bits downstairs and we get to fit the pedestal base type thing and all of that goodness. After we do that though, then I can go ahead and stain and seal those bits. Then we can put it all together. Yeah, I'm pretty pleased with that. Not gonna lie. I wouldn't necessarily sell these plans to anybody because, I mean, it's a very amateur build. I'm gonna get back to you in an hour if I do that today. So, toodaloo. Okay, it looks great. This gap won't be here once the bottom pieces are here because once those pieces are in, this will be up here like this. With that, I'm gonna grab the other piece from upstairs to make sure that fits also. Go back and the widescreen. I am gonna take this away. I'm very pleased with how it's matching because I was worried it wasn't gonna match because I used wood conditioner up here and I didn't use wood conditioner down here. And this piece is so it definitely fits on each of these things, but I need to take off just a little bit of one side. I'm gonna mark that and do a quarter of an inch. So I figured out what I did. And the sides going out farther like that is also on purpose. What I'll probably end up doing then is attaching that piece to this piece with wood glue and some nails. And then I will end up screwing, once these have the bases on, I'll end up screwing this to this. With that figured out, now we're just gonna grab our piece of roonies and make sure that they're the right dimensions. Oh wow, good. Let me try this piece. I already wrote like to cut off some of these because of the change in the size of the bases. This one is for that one, I think. This one is good. No. Wait. I forgot how wood works. I'll be right back. I need to get the pieces that I glued together upstairs so that I can visualize this right. Brought you in closer, and I have these. This is the part where I get frustrated because I had to redo these several times. It's part of the process. I have no idea what I was thinking for the bottoms of these. I think I was right the first time. So I got pieces that I thought were the other ones, and it makes me realize that I was closer to the solution than I thought. I need to cut off the half inch in the front here because that is not going to work. Mark this. So that'll be this piece, and that'll solve that problem. Now I'm just gonna try to figure out if I need to recut these front pieces though, because while this is the length of the front of this, so I actually need to recut these pieces a half inch or no, a whole inch wider so that I can make these pieces on the side mirror together nicely. This piece is actually too long still, and that works out fine. Well, let's see if that's the same case for this side. This one is just enough on one side, so that doesn't work. So both of these pieces don't work. I will just have to custom measure the fronts of each of these. Yeah. So with that, I will bring all those back upstairs and we'll get the new bottoms marked out. I'm also going to sit here and finagle the side pieces. So I'll see you back upstairs and we will get going again. I put this together last night. We're gonna take it apart today. The sides are looking good. They didn't move or shift. Check. Square. So that's lit. I glued the bottoms of those on there. So those are a set. And then this will get glued onto the right one because hence the R. I still have to cut that small piece off of there to make that fit. But yeah. There is some unfortunate news about this though, and that is that the other pieces here, mainly this piece, is too short, just by like half an inch. So I'm not sure what I'm gonna do about that yet. Also, before I cleaned up all of the sawdust, now I'm a little sad that I may have to make more mess. Update. I just tried to put that on here and it's literally like another 1/4 of an inch too small. So what I'm gonna do is just attempt to cut this at an angle because it is sticking out just a tiny bit. This side's fine. All right, update. We have our sewing machine clamping this for me. It's on there, it's fitting. And so then on top of that little ridge there will go all of the trim that I just stained yesterday. I'm gonna cut that first, and then I'm gonna see if this fits, and if this fits, then I'll glue this, and then I'll do the thing. Tragedy struck, and I had to recut that piece. So I just finished staining that, and I just finished putting sealer on the trim pieces that I stained yesterday. That's all glued up. I'm leaning more towards just like putting 2 like sticks underneath there that'll help like support the load, if you know what I mean. Once I get this one looking like that one and the supports in there, then I'm gonna bring it all downstairs and I'm gonna try to assemble it because I did do the other cut that I had to do over there. So that's all set. That's all set. Just have to glue that together. We're getting there. The only thing that like I'm like getting there on where I'm just like I just kind of want to give up is because I didn't cut the miters on this long piece here. And by miters I mean I didn't cut these at a 45-degree angle so that it'd make a nice box. As annoying as that is, I anticipate this project taking another like 2 or 3 weeks just because with work and the amount of motivation it genuinely takes me to do it, because I take like 30-minute breaks in between literally anything I do. I think I'm about done with it today though. I'll see you when I see you. So don't get too excited. I'm laughing at myself because like I put this bottom part together first and I had them flip-flopped by accident, and then I saw that this outer trim piece that has like the cutouts for the wall on it were on the inside, and I was like, well fuck, did I just glue this shit backwards? And I was like, no Heather, you just have to flip-flop them because I'm directionally challenged. I just wanted a sneak peek of how it was gonna look. The only pieces that I have left to do or put on or whatever are these ones, which I do have to miter the corners on that side and that side. Other than that, all that's left is to put this trim on the perimeters of the bottoms there. This has been kind of an insane project. I do have a cute little microphone that I literally bought so that I could plug it into the phone, but now that I have the new iPhone, I don't really need this. How about this? Yes, this is it. I don't know. Oh, for real? Word. Tell the people. Oh my god. She's over there cooking. I think the screwdriver is probably the best bet, or the tape measure, but the tape measure is not very microphone. I was gonna say microphone phallic friendly, but that's not it. But you know what I mean. I hope you know what I mean. We're gonna get back on topic. We're being chillin', as I would say to Eve. I did that. What? She drew that up in CAD. She planned it. She did it. She only had to redo the bottom front panel of one of these 4 times. But she did it. Not me probably gonna procrastinate on doing the bottom trim, because that's literally like the last thing I have to do. I just can't be bothered. The hyperfixation's over. JK, get that done eventually. I just think it's so funny how what I struggled with in school was math, babes. But my favorite hobbies include hell fractions. My job is literally math. I use math on a daily basis, sadly. I really feel like the microphone just brings out my personality. I don't know what it is about this thing, but I like it. Hi, my love. You've come to join the chat. Your whiskers are so cute today. I'm rambling because I don't want to start this because I'm kind of procrastinating until it's time to make dinner. Please don't cuddle with that, my love. I'm gonna just leave that here and you'll see whatever I do next, but I don't know what I'm doing. Okie dokie, we're back at it again. I test fitted it with Nathan's help downstairs to see how far of a gap I had to leave right here. There was a casualty. This was like literally 1/8 of an inch too short, so I'm just gonna glue it back on downstairs a little farther, and then I'm just gonna wood glue the corner in, and it'll be fine. And you can see here, I used my nail gun. This was actually, I think there's only 2 times I busted through. Then, as you can see over at this end, that piece is drying like this one did. Once that end is dry, we're gonna bring this downstairs and bring these pieces downstairs, mark out on the bottom of this piece where these line up at the top. That way I can take this away from the wall to screw into the top back of this. And then I have, where'd they go? There they are. These are a bit heavy duty, but these will put it on the wall. Ignore the garbage. That's the plan, Stan. Houston, we have a problem. Nathan here, you put him here, and he was like, yeah, they're great, they're done. And then I'm like, oh wait, oh no, they're supposed to be flush against the wood. And then it's like, oh no. I really thought I was on the other side of this. We're gonna have to chop off like 2 inches off of this bottom pedestal, which is kind of depressing, not going to lie. It's harder because they're not just 3 pieces at the bottom. I glued those other 2 pieces down there. Yeah. I really thought I was going to finish this weekend, didn't I, Nathan?
Yeah.
We definitely got farther. Are we going to finish it this weekend? Not today. Like I thought it couldn't get any worse. Why are we lining up this here, Heather, you may ask? Because that actually goes out farther
than the brick, if you look closely there. Thank you, Nathan. Because of that, we're just gonna cut off this bit so that it can go over that bit that goes out. That's a tomorrow problem. I was able to cut this bit with the jigsaw. While I was down there test fitting this, I also measured how tall these have to be, and I came up with 40 1/2 and 1/8, which is 5/8. Wow. Yeah, 40 and 5/8. I'm gonna take care of that, see if I can assemble this tonight, because I'm gonna see if I can actually cut the bottoms of these with the jigsaw also. We'll figure something out, okay? There's a couple choices. Okay, it's not that bad, but it's not ideal. So 40 and 5/8 takes us to right about here. If I want to keep as much as possible on the bottom, I do also have the option of taking some off the top, because if you look here, since I added the trim, it makes this bottom piece appear smaller. I think I am going to take some off the top as well as this bottom, because with me taking some off the top in mobile mode is like over here where I had to fill it in and stain it. It would take off a good bit of this. It would take off like a majority of like the worst bit of it. And then also on this one, you can see like up over here, this is at an angle. It would also just create nice clean lines at the top. And so then when it's sitting on top of this, there wouldn't be any gapping, and I wouldn't have to contemplate adding trim at the top. It is like 4:45, and so I have like 30 to 45 minutes. I just really want to finish this project so that I can move on to other projects, because the other projects are arguably more fun than this one in my brain, because I've been working on this project for at least 3 months, I think. It was before the beginning of November. I'm ready to move on and update this entire space, because at this point I'm just itching to make this space feel the way I feel, if you know what I mean. And so that's going to be really exciting. There's a bunch of other stuff that I'm going to do too, and I can't wait. So listen to Pineapple Under the Sea. I'm gonna get this shit done, she says. Yeah, I'm gonna go. I'll do this notch again, like free-handed with the jigsaw. I do have to change the jigsaw blade back because I did break the first bit. I'm gonna transfer these lines to that one. I lied. I'm just gonna measure it, because it's just as easy to measure this as it is to eyeball it most of the time. And I'll get us set up so you can watch me cut this. Okay, update. The other side of this came off, but that's fine. It was a skill issue, and I will cut them shorter and glue them back on. I feel like we should pre-drill the holes, but I just can't be bothered. Famous last words. Theoretically, it should just slide right on. Did it go on?
Yeah, it looks great. It looks really good.
We did it.
It looks so good.
Yeah, except it needs to go back another 1/4 or 1/2 inch. So you need to take that off. That one's fine. Okay, babes.
Break, so.
Babes being you on YouTube. We're going with the fact that this, that is level right there. And so we're just gonna ignore this over here because I didn't do that. The mantle is crooked. Without further ado, I'm gonna screw this bitch to the wall. Be done with her for right now. Screw this. It's done for now, and probably until next year. This is it for now. I will show you the final reveal whenever I actually get around to it. Hello. I really enjoyed how the fireplace project turned out. I feel like there's definitely some things I would have done differently. Like, for one, I would have cut the trapezoid shape out, taped together pieces of printer paper so that I could get it more exact and symmetrical, and I would have checked if the mantle was level first. Those are the only two things that I feel like I would have done differently. Let me know if there's other things you think I could have done differently in the comments. Otherwise, I feel like there was an appropriate amount of mistakes made, and I'm content with that. I'm happy to move on from this project, and little do you know, I've got quite a lot of fun things in the works. I'm going to try to upload every Tuesday until I run out of content to post, because I'm a busy gal. I have a full-time job. Crying emoji. And we'll see where it goes from there. I have enough for a little while, so I'll see you in the next one.